Alright, so here is our mist net pole bag. We'll open this up to see what's inside. And I'm going to talk to you not only about the function of everything, but how I deliberately place it inside the bag to try to make my time as efficient as possible. So you're going to notice, certainly the bag, you're going to notice 6 poles, 2 of which I have pointing up. The sharp side is pointing up. 4 of which I just have kind of the nubs pointing up. At the bottom of the poles, you'll see the tip is going to go into the ground, and then it has a male side. That male side is going to connect into the female side of the other pole. And then we're going to do that one more time, male to female. So by setting 3 of these in a row, we're going to have built a single high mist net. If we were to add more, if we got another net and want to make a double high, then we'd need 3 more of these poles. We don't need any more of the pointed poles because the pointed poles are only used for going in the ground. So we've already covered that with these 2. Then we're going to notice 2 pairs of stakes that we're going to drive into the ground, 2 sets of ropes for each side of the mist net to secure it to the ground so it doesn't fall over. And then here's the mist net itself. You'll notice it's really fine mesh, really hard to see. And the bats may see it as they're echolocating, but we're going to try to camouflage it in the environment so that either they don't see it, or if they see it, it's just too late and they can't do anything about it. So we're going to try to move the environment around. We're going to bend, we might bend some branches in our direction, but we're going to pick a place for a mist net where a bat cannot avoid the mist net. So going over, under, or around. I'm going to demonstrate in a very open area of my backyard because I don't want to catch any bats right now in the mist net. I want to demonstrate how you set it up without catching any bats. So we're going to pick a side to drive it into the ground. So I just start with a couple. I'm not securing it completely to the ground yet. I'm just setting up the mist net, just orienting it. So one side of the mist net will have these loops of the mist net will be attached to the pole, and then on the other side, in our other direction, we'll have the other side of the loops attached to the pole. When you look at all these loops, you'll notice one has blue taped to the grommet, and it is fed through 4 other grommets. So these are all lines. So there's 5 lines in this mist net. Okay, the top line is the blue line. It's fed through the second top line, the third top line, then the second bottommost line, and the bottom line. Okay, this is going to help us orient which direction it should be put on the pole and the order in which we put them on the pole. So, I'm going to first put the second to the top, third to the top, fourth to the top, and then the last. I'm saving that blue one is fed through and tied to the bottom, securing it. Now I'm going to untie it and place that line, pull it through the top, and place it on the top of our pole. So now when I open it up, I know these are all going to be in the right order, and that'll make sense in just a few minutes when we completely open it up. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. We usually have several people helping us so that the net doesn't fall onto the ground, so it doesn't collect leaves and insects. But right now I'm just demoing this. So it's okay if we end up if it hits the ground and we collect some leaves, that's okay. Okay, so same thing on this side. We're gonna orient the top of the net. So remember, blue is the top, and then it works its way down. So blue is the top, the next one is the second top, third top, then fourth to the top or second to the bottom. Sorry. Second to the bottom and the bottom. This one that's tied, I know is from the top. So I'm going to wait on that until the end. Okay. So I just always align them up on our pole in order to make our time very fast. Because time is money, right? Isn't that how that saying goes? It's true. Now we can open up that blue one and put it on the top. Then we're going to start to tighten our line. We're going to make sure it's all opening up correctly. Then we would be ready for catching our bats. And this is all true for birds as well. Now, even though we are in the right order, there is a twist in the line. So even though the blue is the top line over here, and it's the top line over there, at some point it got flipped down here. So that's okay. As long as we're all on the same pole, we can take the pole out and twist it together in one movement so we don't lose any of our lines. So we'll first twist it to see, maybe was it twisted this way? Does that improve our line? We'll check down at the other side. Looks like we might need to do one more twist. Before I twist it, I'm going to make this a lot tighter. So I'm going to anchor it to the ground more securely. So I'm going to open up my rope. You'll see I'm a little particular about how I fold my rope at the end of the day. I want to know exactly where to open it so I can be quick with opening it. It's not fun when it takes half an hour to unravel a rope. That's not a fun use of your time. So I try to do a good job keeping the line clear of any knots, and then always using the same method so I know what to expect. So I'm tying one rope to one stake and then the other rope to another stake, and we're going to play around with this. Each time we make adjustments to our net, we're going to play around with our ropes more. Oh, you'll notice I have removed any jewelry. I'm not wearing clothes that have snaps or buckles because it can easily get tied up in the mist net if you walk up to it as you're getting bats out. So you want to be clear of things that could get caught. So I take off just about everything except pretty tight fitting clothes to try to avoid getting tangled up in the mist net or in the rope. Alright, so now we're going to go to the other side, the mist net, and tighten that side of the pole. So we undo. And you'll notice I usually tie. Hi buddy, I'm making a video showing people how to set up a mist net if they want to capture bats or birds. You can watch, just be very careful to not get caught in the net. It's really hard to see that net, isn't it? Good. Okay, so don't walk into it. I've caught plenty of people in the past in my mist nets, especially if they're walking around parks that close at dark. And they're rebellious and not following the rules. Okay, so now I'm going to twist this all again. Now I might try this direction. See if that opens up. Might try a couple. It does kind of look like a spider web, doesn't it? Ah, there we go. So just took a couple twists in the other direction. Awesome. So now we can add on our top pole to each side. And, oh, yeah, you can help me in just a little bit. We're gonna put in a little bit. Okay, I'm still making my video, but that's okay. Okay, all right. So now I may move around this tie a little bit higher. Carter, please don't get caught in the net, buddy. All right. So I'm going to move that rope a little bit higher. No, I'm going to finish the video, buddy. Alright. So, last one, but that's okay. I'll get that one back very easily. Alright. So I'm going to move these two down. And then I'm going to tie. And like I said, we're going to play around with these ropes a lot. Tightening them and loosening them. So we get the poles nice and tight, but allow for a little bit of give in the net so that it can still flap in the wind a little bit like that, so that it doesn't look too obvious that it's really rigid and therefore more likely man-made. Yeah, you know what you can help with? You can push this one to the bottom over there. Push that all the way to the bottom. You're my assistant, right, Carter? Then we're just going to move these around on both sides to make kind of these shelves, these areas where the bat might get caught up and then they might hang a little bit. We want to be careful if we're setting up mist nets over water that if the weight of the bat in this bottom shelf dips down, that the bat doesn't go underwater. So we want to be careful, but we also don't want it to be so high above the water that the bats easily fly through. So you kind of have to act as if you're the bat and landing in it. So a bat, you know, some of our bats are 10 grams, some are 15 to 18 grams. So what would that feel like if it landed in a net? How far down would it go? And what happened if you had several in your bottom shelf? Think about that weight and how, so maybe you're going to make your bottom shelf a little bit tighter. So you're going to adjust more of your ropes. So we're going to keep moving. We're going to continue moving all these shelves around, or these lines around. You did help. And you can always get a stick to try to push this top line up. You could also, one trick we do a lot, is tie extra knots in here to make them even tighter. Then we can grab another pole, or we can grab, oh yeah, can you grab me that pole? Yeah. Thank you. Let me see. Nope, we're gonna push it up in the air. So let me see that. That's a great idea. Thank you for bringing me that pole. So we can just easily slide these up, especially for those of us that are vertically challenged. I think we're just about done, buddy. Just about done setting up our mist net. So you have a little bit of space for all these shelves. This is looking pretty good. If I wanted to do a second on top of this, it would be exactly the same method. Now when we say we're done for the night, we're going to do the reverse. Putting our lines together now, and then the first one we pull off the line is going to be the blue. And we're going to feed that through all the grommets in order so we end up at the very bottom line and tie it off. Then we'll always know which is supposed to be the top line, the second to top, the third to top, fourth top, and the bottom line. So it may sound like a lot of rules to follow, and each biologist you work with is going to have a different set of rules. So you want to learn who you're working with. Thank you for helping. You want to learn who you're working with, what their preferences are, and do your best to accommodate. Because the worst thing you can do is put away incorrectly. That's a big pet peeve. Because then it might take someone hours to undo everything you've done. And that is not fun for anyone. Okay, so we're going to undo that knot we put in over there. And then when we're done, we'll put our net away, keeping these lines out. Oh, we're not going to put it back up. We're just going to put it away. Because we don't want to catch any bats tonight, buddy. So, when we put it away, we're going to carefully put our net away so that it stays inside the bag, but these lines stay outside of the bag. And then, at the end of the night, we will decontaminate. We have a couple different options for decontaminating. One involves bleach, and one involves very hot water. So as I'm closing up for the night, I'm going to do this hand over hand. Oh, that wouldn't be, oh no, see your watch. That's why I tell people to not wear watches when they're working with mist nets. That's exactly why. Good example, Carter. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so now we have our net. Yeah, you want to try to untie those ropes off of the stakes. Now just put the net into the bag, put everything back in the pole bag, and then later that night we disinfect everything. So that's it. So then we just take, put everything back, tie everything up, go home, disinfect, and then that's it. So hope you enjoyed this. Let me see if I can say goodbye to you. We're still recording. Awesome. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, and here's my assistant. Say bye.